Oh damn, I don't even have enough memory on the freaking card. Like, how do I, all right, give me 1 second and then we're gonna start this over. Clearly I need a new SIM card because that just was not working at all. Like, y'all please tell me, Ashley, get a new SIM card so I can just get a new SIM card. I need to get a new SIM card. Hey y'all, it's Ashley at Bookishrealm. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Shout out to all the booktubers that use that phrase. I appreciate you. But we're here today for a video that I have been excited to put out. This is a video that I am looking forward to because it is the beginning of Banned Books Week. So if you didn't know, in September every year, American Library Association have what is called Banned Books Week, which if you've been to your local library or even your school library, it is a week to highlight and celebrate titles and authors that have had their works that have been challenged or banned. And so if you know me, if you've been here for a while, then you probably know that I heavily cover a lot of the information that comes out about banned and challenged books. It's kind of a thing that I do because I want to make sure that we as a community here in BookTube are really staying aware of how this is impacting so many other readers. I know that for a lot of us, we have a sense of privilege in which access to us is just a thing. It happens, it's easy, not necessarily always in the sense of being able to buy books, but in acquiring access to books, sometimes it is easier for us as adults who are in this community, opposed to the plethora of youth across this country who are suffering at the hands of adults who just can't get it together. They just can't get it right. And so I think that we should, as a reading community, stay active, stay vigilant, stay aware of what we can be doing to support our local communities that are facing these book bans and challenges. So I did title this book, title this book. Maybe I have a book coming out in the future. I don't know. Maybe it's a possibility. Not really, but here's to hoping and thinking that maybe one day this thing will happen. But I did title this video, Let's Cancel These Books, because it is part of a culture war that is happening in the United States. It is a thing. And so I thought that this would be the introduction to some content that I have planned out to honor Banned Books Week. And I have not ever done this on my channel before, but it is something that I am definitely looking forward to doing because of the fact that it is something that I am passionate about. I really do think that my biggest fear is kids not being able to access books. In this community, we often talk about how books have saved our lives, how they're vital to us, how they make us feel like there's somebody in the world that understands what we're going through. And just imagine a child who may be going through a difficult time in their life. When I say child, I mean youth, 0 to 18. Imagine not having that safe space to get to. And if you are part of this community, if you're a reader, if you love books, that should bother you. Whether you have kids of your own, kids, from family, or whether you work with kids, interact with kids, like this whole situation should bother you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the content that I think I have planned out for this upcoming week, as well as an article that I just read that came out from School Library Journal September 8th, which is not very far removed from when this video is going to come out. I'm pre-recording this, so I think this will go out on a Saturday, and I'm filming this during a weekday. I can't tell you what day of the week it is, but it's being filmed on a weekday. And so this article, the date is not too detached from when, probably like a week, maybe a week and a few days from when this video will go live. And I wanted to highlight this article, which unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to share with you because it's behind a paywall. You have to be subscribed to School Library Journal, and I have access to it because I am a librarian that receives access to School Library Journal. So I apologize. But I wanted to share some things about what is currently happening in this country as it pertains specifically to book banning and how it's greatly impacting school librarians. For us as public librarians, not saying that we have all the flexibility in the world, but this whole concept of book banning and stuff is really, really hurting school librarians, y'all. My heart goes out to them as a fellow librarian, even though I'm on the public side. My heart aches for them because they're having to make some tough choices. So School Library Journal essentially did this survey. And the survey looked at some of the decisions that school librarians were having to make because of book banning and book challenges. And what they were finding is that a lot of the challenges and bannings, of no surprise, they looked at like the areas, whether it was an urban area, suburban, or whether it was a rural area. Most of the challenges and issues are coming from rural areas. They're finding that a lot of school librarians are beginning to censor themselves. And in the world of librarianship, that is scary. So basically what ends up happening, if you didn't know, there's a selection process that all librarians go through whenever we acquire new materials. How that selection process usually works is up to the discretion of whatever organization that you're working for. My selection process that I use is going to vary from, even a public library, a county over, because everyone sets their kind of own guidelines. Working in a school district, you possibly have a school board or your district office that is setting the guidelines of how you're going to be able to select your materials. And so what they're seeing is that even when we go through our selection process, where we're looking at reviews, we're looking at the demographics in terms of age that publishers are recommending that these materials should be, given to, when we're cross-referencing reviews, when we're reading the materials for ourselves. Some people find that even when things have starred reviews, if it has content about race, if it has queer content at all, they will not purchase the items because they don't want to have to face backlash. And what people are not realizing is that a lot of librarians right now are getting doxxed. And if you don't know what that means that their personal information is being made available publicly. And for safety reasons, obviously, that's not good. It's not good at all. It is dangerous. So to prevent themselves from getting into controversy with the school board, administration, having to deal with irate parents, they just don't get the materials at all. And for a librarian to be in that position, it's heartbreaking because you get to know these kids and you know that these are material that these kids need, but you know the controversy that will occur if you do. And so it's so dangerous. And one of the quotes that kind of stood out to me after reading this article was a section where they said, we scream diversity, but when it comes to actually applying diversity and learning about cultures, lifestyles, races, ethnicities, sexual identity, gender identity, when it's different from our own kids, we don't want to hear it. But we scream about how important diversity is. And so just the irony behind all of it, not even the irony, the hypocrisy behind all of it is something that is both heartbreaking and fascinating to watch at the same time. The article also went into some details of what specific content was being challenged. So you have sex being one, and also queer identities being at the top of the list. I believe queer identities was like number 3 on their list of topics that people no longer want in their books. And so what we're seeing play out, and this is what the article talks about a little bit, is culture wars now making their way into schools. And so people always say things like, well, I don't want you, how you live is how you live, don't push that on my kid. And my response to that, and I know I get a little snappy about this, parent your own child. Stop expecting people to parent your child for you. If you don't want your child reading something, then don't let them read it. Check and make sure. You need to do your due diligence as a parent. You had this child. You are the caretaker of this child. It is nobody's responsibility but your own. And I keep telling people that when books are pulled and books are banned, it's not a celebration. It's not something that authors are proud of, because a lot of these kids who are losing access, and I know I keep saying this over and over again, but I'm going to keep saying it because I want everybody to understand very, very clear. When these kids lose access, a lot of them, especially our kids who don't have the economic background or the technology to access these materials, regardless of whether they're in school or not, they suffer the most. But the irony behind it is the people with the economic standing, the access to technology, they're advocating for these things to be banned. And so you have librarians who inevitably are frightened and are concerned about their well-being and their livelihood being taken away from them. There was a scenario or a situation, because the whole entire survey, I think, was completed by over 700 people across the country, and it was all anonymous, and someone had made the comment that they were told not to buy any materials that had any content that they think could be challenged, because it would show that the librarian position wasn't worth having and the school board would get rid of it. Imagine trying to serve your entire population with books, with characters and situations that these kids deal with on a daily basis, and you can't do that because someone's going to tell you you're going to lose your job. So what's happening now is a lot of people are leaving the profession because they don't feel like it's a safe environment anymore. People are fighting back as much as they can. You have librarians who are getting grants to get these banned books just so they could just give them to kids. They don't even have to be in the library. You just give them the book. You have librarians who are secretly keeping them in, you know, the back shelves of their library in order to allow kids just to freely take them whenever they want to. That should not be a thing at all. It shouldn't be. As much as these kids have access to the internet, as much as these kids can get to whatever they want to get to, you're worried about books now. And one of the other highlights of the article that I really appreciated is that this is not out of concern. People are avoiding what is typically called in a lot of libraries a challenge process. So all of us have a process where you can formally challenge a book. Even where I work, there is a process where you can formally challenge a book. It's paperwork that you fill out. It's a reconsideration. Everyone has this process. But see, parents and members of the community and school boards and all the whole nine, they no longer care about this challenge process. They don't want to follow the rules. It's about getting a rise. It's not about really doing things that are effective, following these guidelines and really looking at a material and really saying, now, is this appropriate for us to have in elementary school? It's not about that. It's about, I want to do as much as I can now to gain traction, to cause disturbance, and to make people look at me and say, look at this, look at what they're doing. It's not about caring. It's not about taking every child into consideration. And I know a lot of times I even talk about age appropriateness, but one of the things that the article also did talk about was that there's a lot more nuance to saying that something is age appropriate or not age appropriate, because when people say age appropriateness, they also don't take emotional maturity into consideration. And even when I was reading that, I was like, that's a good point, because what one 10-year-old can handle emotionally, another 10-year-old may not be able to handle emotionally. So should we just take it all away because one is not on the emotional maturity level as the other? Do we take that away? Do we take that experience away from one child? We just, say nobody can have it because this child can't have it. Nobody can have it. Like, if people would just stay in their own lane and parent their own kids, we wouldn't have the problems that we have. But unfortunately, because people want everybody and their mother to parent for them, look at where we're at. We have politics and people's own personal gains, people's anger about who's serving in what office and who does this and who does that, that you are making a whole generation of kids suffer. These kids are already suffering because of a pandemic academically. And now you want to take away the opportunity for them to learn about people outside of their own lived experience. You're creating a group of people who have no empathy. Books build empathy. I say this time and time again. Kids learn empathy, compassion, what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes, what it's like to feel seen, what it's like to walk into someone else's experience through books, because everybody doesn't have the luxury of seeing the world. Some kids will be born, they will work where they are, they will have families, they will do whatever, and they will die in the same place that they were born. And there's nothing wrong with that. but give them something outside of that experience. Some people will never make it outside of their towns. Some people will never make it outside of their communities, and you want to strip them of everything. How do we create or say that we want to create a society where people respect each other, we're kind, and all this hate is unnecessary, and you're using hatred? You're using hatred to take away the one thing that could help create a generation of people who are empathetic, who are better than my generation, the generation before and before and before and before. How do you do that? You should have that respect and compassion for someone else's experience. How do you dictate what someone's lived experiences and whether it should or should not be shared? Who are you? It's too many people out here trying to play God and doing things in the name of faith, and are doing the complete opposite of what I feel like is out of good faith. But that's just me. And so I feel like I was just preaching a sermon. I don't know why, but I feel like I was just preaching a sermon. And so what I want to do on my channel in the upcoming week is share some content with you that focuses on banned books, challenge books. And I know I've done this. The last video I filmed before, I've just given you a slew of videos. I've talked about Utah, which, you know, no surprise. No surprise there. Like, would we ever be surprised that Utah is out here banning 50 books? No, we shouldn't. And half of those books are like 20 years old. I do want to emphasize this week and share with you how important it is that we as a community stay involved in what is going on right now. How important it is for us to recognize that this is a thing that is happening and it's impacting people who share the same love, passion, and joy and hobby that we do. And that we can't just say because this is not directly impacting me now in this moment, I don't have to think about it. I don't care. You know, it's just going to make me want to read these books more. No, we have to step outside of our bubble and realize that there are people who are really paying severely for what's happening. So I have recommendations, videos coming, possibly a vlog coming, you know, just some content in which I am focusing specifically on banned books and challenge books and sharing that information as much as possible. And so, as the preachers always say in the church, I'm not gonna keep you. I'm not gonna keep you. I done stood on my pulpit and said what I had to say. I done preached for about a good, what's that thing say, 17 minutes? I done preached for about a good 17, 18 minutes. I think that's about good. A little bit of raw editing, not raw editing, a little bit of editing of the raw footage, probably take down about 15, 16 minutes. I just wanted to step in real quick and let y'all know that this is what I will be doing in honor of this week, because I've talked about it so much on my channel and I've never specifically taken some time to highlight the books and the conversations that are happening around banned books. And so this is the introduction to that. I wish I could give y'all this article. I really wish I could. I wish I could give you this article, but unfortunately I can't, because I just don't. If I share you the link, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, literally, it's going to pop right back up and it's going to tell you that you need to subscribe to it. But it's some good information. If you can, maybe just Google a couple things about the challenges that school librarians are facing. Public librarians are facing some issues as well. Probably not as heavily as school librarians because of the fact that we don't work underneath the same guidelines as them, although it also depends on the location. I know that some rural public libraries right now are feeling the pressure, and the more conservative and rural, the worse off that you are. And so it's not, I hate to say it that way because, you know, take it as you may, but it is what it is. It's facts. F-A-C-T-S. Facts. You can put a hashtag in front of that if you want to. Hashtag facts. We speak nothing but facts over here. But anyway, I'm done. That's it. I promise I'm done this time. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you stay in tune for the rest of the banned books Ban Books Week content that will be coming out. I will link all the relevant stuff for ALA and what they're doing down in the description box below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel or follow me on social media, all the links will be down in the description box below. And I'll be back with another video soon, clearly. Y'all been getting a lot of content from me. I don't know what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Like, okay, you know what? If you've made it to the end of this video, what song was I just singing? Drop the title, the year, and the artist. And if you can do that, I rock with you the long way. I was gonna drop the F-bomb, but I really don't want this video to get flagged. I want it to get flagged. But anyway.